Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all honor and praises unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, QADASH. Double honors and salutation to the elders of GMS, elders and apostles and the bishop teaching and ruling well. Salutation to the faithful believers. We're almost out here, man. We're almost out of here. That being said, wanted to go into a quick lesson concerning bring out a couple videos about what on earth is going on today. And before we get on that topic, I just had at work. I just had this lady. You know, she was kind of a bug out, but we were talking with my coworkers. I was playing one of the videos I'm about to play, and at one point she overheard and she pulled up and she said, "Me, I had to take it because they were forcing my hand. I had to go on a walk with Vanessa Williams because they were forcing my hand." I hope you understand what I'm saying. You know, you wouldn't be able to go out go out restaurants, go to the gym. You know, all those restrictions. You won't be able to travel, and all this. If I don't get it, I won't be able to see my kid. You know. So that being said, so she was telling me, and then she was telling me that. You know, that's when I kind of knew that she was a bug out. But she was saying that she's a spiritual person, and she felt a change. She described it as if her cells were being taken over by Vanessa Williams. You know. So at that point, when I heard that, I was like, oh wow, you know, because me I know I wasn't gonna take it, but my coworkers, they said, oh, me, I don't feel different, I don't feel a thing. But her, she said, nah, man, I'm telling you, I'm spiritual, and you know, I know the Lord put me in a situation where I had to take it, so I took it, but now I regret this and that. So, you know, that being said, man, you know, in the faith, you know, the wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our time. We already made those that are in this truth, who've been walking in this truth, we know not to take it. We've been warned. Okay, many times, and the scripture tells us not to do it. We've been warned by the elders and apostles. We've been warned by the brothers. We've been warned. How many those that are tuned in the truth, that, you know, we know not to do it. It's already in our mind to say no. We've already been programmed throughout this whole pandemic. We've been programmed even way before. We know how to discern good and evil. And us right now, we're trying to please the Lord and stay away from wickedness. Okay. So that's just a little event that happened today, you know. Just share that moment, you know. Share what happened, because that woman, she was saying how she felt different. She felt as if it changed to her, you know. And then she made the mention of the Walking Dead. She said, I hope I don't become a zombie, you know, because it's changing me. I feel like I'm being, you know. The Vanessa Williams is taking over her body. But in a sense, that might be, yo, we don't know what Esau put in that concoction, man. That poison juice, man. We actually don't know. They tell you they do this and do that, but in the back, they might not include it, because he's a serpent. He's a forger of lies, okay? He's not gonna tell you what he's doing, man. Literally, it could literally be poison, and he tell you it's good for you, man. You know, he shakes your hand with a knife behind his back, man. See, so that's what the scripture tells us, never to trust our enemy. Okay. That being said, let's move on with the videos. Just a quick disclaimer: the videos that I'm using do not belong to me. I'm using them for edification purposes, for learning purposes. Okay. I do not own any of the videos that I'm about to play. So that being said, let's get to it. What on earth is going on? September 20th. Yeah. This is vaccine reward. How Germany is trying to entice the unvaccinated. It's trying to bribe you, man. You get it.
A free kebab for every jab. This Berlin initiative was just one of 1,500 campaigns in Germany's Vaccination Action Week last week. The result, 500,000 people were vaccinated for the first time with a free jab at mosques, supermarkets, and football pitches.
How many people were pushed to take it just because of a kebab? What the? Let's just bring it back.
Action Week last week. This Berlin initiative was just one of 1,500 campaigns in Germany's Vaccination Action Week last week. The result? 500,000 people were vaccinated for the first time with a free jab at mosques, supermarkets, and football pitches. But is that enough?
Never.
Just 1 in 6 people in the over 60s risk group has been vaccinated. If a highly contagious Delta variant starts to spread among those most vulnerable, Germany's intensive care units could be under serious pressure. Welcome to our COVID-19 special. I'm Monica Jones from Berlin. Good to have you with us. Yeah. And it's mind-boggling, isn't it?
See the enticement.
Months into the pandemic.
Before they hop on the newscaster, they want to show you those images in the hospital. You know, that fear mongering that goes into the witchcraft of Esau.
Billions of COVID-19 deaths around the world, and people in wealthy nations like Germany still hesitate to get vaccinated.
Yeah, because we don't trust the devil.
63% of the country's population is immunized. Too little, say experts. Now, the government tries to change that with a carrot and stick approach.
See? And when the carrot and stick approach, that goes into when you have horses and you stick at the end of a stick, when you're riding a horse, you gotta, at the end of the stick, you got a carrot. So it pushes the horse to move forward. You see, that's what it means to entice us. So they give you benefits. The devil is giving you little benefits to get you to get the jab. But if it was so good, we wouldn't have to entice you to do nothing, man. If it was so good, if it was for our benefit, people already be lined up. People already wouldn't have been no hesitancy. Okay. So the fact that they have to use that stick and carrot approach, they're looking at the population as donkeys, man. They're treating you guys as donkeys, man. At this point, just give them a little bit of incentive. Give them some money, they'll take it. Give them free donuts, they'll take it. Give them stuff and they'll take it. We've been those that their eyes have been opened. They will not fall by the deceit of the devil, because we're not unaware of the wiles of the devil, man. We know his tricks and deceiveness. We know exactly who we're dealing with, man. You know, you've been exposed, okay? So we're not gonna deal with you and your portion of wickedness, man. Okay?
We begin in China.
This is what's happening in China right now. Could the Evergrande collapse topple China's economy, Salakia?
Where embattled real estate giant Evergrande faces a major moment of truth this week. The company owes an estimated $300 billion and is expected to default on bond payments, some of which are due this Monday, with more coming on Thursday. Evergrande operates and develops 1,300 real estate projects across China and employs 200,000 people. The company financed its breakneck expansion with credit and bond issues. The pandemic has
Look at the numbers. See, they're in debt, heavy in debt. A lot of employees to pay. You see? China is through as well, man. This whole system is through, man. The US dollar is collapsing. Everyone's going down, man. You realize that there's no salvation in the devil, man. Everything that he's giving you at this point is just to keep his hold on power. Okay. He only wants to stay in rulership as long as he can. But you see, as he's tightening up his grip, he's only slipping more. As the Bible says, as the scripture says, he has been set in slippery places to fall. So as he's falling down, he's trying to grip whatever he can to find his balance. Okay. That happens, and that's in Babylon, and that's all over the world, man. Because the world has been given unto the wicked. The earth has been given unto the wicked. Okay.
Its operations. Its debt equates to 2% of Chinese gross domestic product. Evergrande was always thought to be too big to fail. Now, where have we heard that one before? If it topples, it could take a number of banks down with it, like Lehman Brothers did in 2008. The risk of defaulting has prompted a sell-off. Evergrande stocks have lost 80% of their value since the start of the year.
Family homes of the future, or the bleak monuments to a spectacular business failure. These residential buildings in the city of Luoyang may never be finished. Construction had been moving slowly already. Reports of the impending...
And if you see the way those buildings are built, this is a sketch out of America, man. This is a Babylonian model. You see, as we know that I was speaking with the brothers the other day, and how you see those how you know that the wicked has rulership over the world, man. You see these Moabites pulling up at meetings with the Edomites. They're dressed up in suits, but usually they're supposed to be in their traditional wear. Okay, they're supposed to have their kimonos or whatnot. You see, but they're pulling up in suit and ties. Okay, and you see those buildings are a demonstration of the rulership of the devil, man. See, because that's literally a Babylonian model in China, and that's how you know that the devil is controlling everything. Well, not controlling everything to some extent, because we know that the Yahawah is above the devil, and the devil is basically his pitbull, but the world was given unto the wicked. Okay, so everywhere he goes, he brings death and oppression. Okay, and with his oppression, he forces people to follow his ways. Okay, he wants everyone to be what's that saying? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay, so the world is in their hands. They want everyone to conform to their way of life, such as Antiochus, when he sent out that decree to make everyone, all his kingdoms, to forsake their ways and to make everyone one people. Okay, so this is the story recycling itself. The same that happened with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar was made a golden image of himself and forced everyone in his kingdom to bow down to it. But then again, there was Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego who refused to bow down to that idol, because they turned and they feared the Lord. Okay.
Buildings in the city of Luoyang may never be finished. Construction had been moving slowly already. Reports of the impending crisis around Evergrande's gargantuan debt pile brought it to a complete halt. Those who bought apartments here for their families are worried that they will now never be completed.
That's why you shouldn't put your trust in the devil.
We've been here 3 times and saw that the construction site and the tower crane have not moved. So we came over to ask, and they told us that we had to wait for news. Are you worried when you see negative news about Evergrande? I'm worried. We all bought it ourselves with our hard-earned money. There are unfinished Evergrande projects across China. The company owes at least $300 billion. The crisis is causing panic in Beijing, with fears that a collapse could wreak havoc on the country's financial system. At the Evergrande Oasis property showrooms in Luoyang, the lights showcasing dazzling displays of ambitious property developments are still flashing.
That's the serpent right there, man. He gives you promises and you can't come clutch, man. Okay? He can't come through, man. He's not to be trusted, man. Okay? And when he says peace and safety and his security, okay, he will be brought low. He'll fall. Okay? And look at him now, man. He made a big huge investment, okay? And it's about to make the economy collapse in China, man. Okay?
Mood among Evergrande employees is disconsolate. Now we have a lot of layoffs here, and they worry that their wages will not be paid. Although the bosses have said before that layoffs do not affect wages, it's a question of how much time before they get paid after being laid off. Luoyang is known as one of China's 4 historic capitals, but today it is at the center of a very modern Chinese tragedy.
Now, for more, I am joined at the table by our resident China expert, Clifford Coonan.
I do not believe it's enough. Let's go.
We
What's
begin with
happening
breaking
in
news
Russia?
coming in from Russia, where at least 8 people.
Shooting at Russian university leaves at least 8 dead. Okay? Spirit of vengeance. Okay? They're everywhere, man.
Reported to have been killed in a shooting at a university in the city of Perm. A university spokesperson said that a teenage gunman opened fire on the campus located near the Ural Mountains. Some 20 people were wounded in this attack. Students and staff locked themselves into classrooms, or you're looking at that dramatic video here. You see some of them jumping from windows in order to escape. Let's bring in Yuri Rashedo, DW's Moscow bureau chief, who is following the latest developments. Yuri, what more do we know at this hour?
Well, we know that at about 11 a.m., the 18-year-old student of the university in military uniform opened fire on the campus, after which he allegedly entered the university building. The shooter fired at least 30 shots. All classes were cancelled at the university immediately. Because of what happened, you mentioned it, Sarah, students jumped out of the windows. Many have barricaded themselves in classrooms. The shooting killed 8 people, the investigative committee said, at least. Many victims were hospitalized. One of them is now in serious condition. The attacker was detained, the investigative committee said. Initially, it was reported that he was killed, but this information wasn't confirmed later. And during the arrest, the shooter put up armed resistance and was wounded. And ahead of the shooting, the attacker left reportedly a post on social media in which he asked not to consider his actions as a terrorist attack and said that he was not a member of any extremist organization. His note says, "I hate myself, but I want to hurt everyone who gets in my way."
Damn, that's a spirit of vengeance right there, man.
Yuri, I mean, obviously, a dramatic attack there, a dramatic incident. How common are incidents like this in Russia?
Well, shootings like this are actually quite rare in Russia. In May of this year, there was a mass shooting in Kazan, in the Russian Republic of Tatarstan. 9 people were shot dead and 32 injured in one school. Before that, there was a shooting in Kerch on the annexed Crimea Peninsula. Back then, in October 2018, more than 20 people were killed. And the very first school shooting happened here in Moscow in 2014. That sounds dramatically, but again, it has not been so often compared, for example, with the United States of America. Also, there is no discussion here in the Russian public about access to weapons like in the USA. What is already being discussed a lot here are the security standards in public places. Here in Moscow, for example, there are security officers at airports, train stations, in all metro stations and shopping centers, so that larger items or bags have to be X-rayed. It's not known whether all of these is so effective. Experts say it has rather a deterrent effect. And the incident now in Perm and before that in Kazan and Kerch show that these security measures obviously cannot prevent an attack. So back to the incident happened today earlier in Perm. The security company claims that the guards who were guarding the university called emergency services after the attack, but no one answered the phone. And during the attack, 3 panic buttons were reportedly pressed, but none of them allegedly worked, and no announcements or warnings were made on the local radio. However, the investigations are ongoing now on behalf of the Russian Prime Minister, Minister of Health, and Minister of Science and Higher Education were sent to Perm to coordinate the investigations.
Yuri Rashedo following this breaking news for us from Russia. Thank you, Yuri.
Yeah, so as you said, there are a spirit created for vengeance. He said, "Yo, I want to hurt myself, and anyone that gets in my way, I'm gonna hurt them too." You know.
Meanwhile,
so this is the what's happening with at the U.S. border. Thousands of Haitians, the Levites, migrants crossed the U.S. border in Texas. So let's see what's happening.
in the US, a sudden wave of thousands of migrants has sparked a humanitarian crisis at the US-Mexico border. The Texas border town of Del Rio is struggling to cope with the massive influx of people seeking safety and prosperity in the United States.
More than 10,000 people living under a bridge. This is the scene at the U.S.-Mexico border as thousands of migrants from Haiti, many of whom began their trek overland as far away as Colombia, find their long and often dangerous journeys stopped at the international bridge connecting Del Rio in Texas to Mexico's Ciudad Acuña. The situation is becoming desperate.
We now have 1/3 of the population of the city of Del Rio, Texas, in a confined space under the City of Del Rio International Bridge. So that said, I had thought that the alarm was set on Monday. This is setting the nuclear bomb alarm that this is no longer sustainable, acceptable.
Overwhelmed by the surge of asylum seekers, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security announced it will use a pandemic-related authority to immediately expel migrants back to Haiti without allowing them an opportunity to claim asylum. But with the promise of a better life in sight, migrants refuse to give up their dreams of a new life in America. I don't want to be deported. If I'm deported now, I'll die in Haiti. Why? Because there's no security in Haiti. With no better option than to hunker down and hope. Scores of people waded back and forth across the Rio Grande into Mexico to resupply, buying water, food, and diapers, before returning to the Texas side and the uncertain wait under the bridge.
Okay, so this is what happening.
We begin tonight with the
So they go. I think they go a little more in depth. This is actually today. Haitians migrant expelled from the U.S.-Mexico border. So now there was a lot of Levite migrants that were Haitians, let's say, because we don't know exactly which tribe they were. So let's just say Haitians migrated. They're getting expelled. So the first video, they were coming in, they were crossing the border, but now they're getting expelled.
Crisis at the U.S.-Mexico border. The United States has begun flying would-be asylum seekers out of a Texas border town. A makeshift camp at the Del Rio International Bridge has quickly grown to more than 12,000 migrants, most of them from Haiti. Local residents say they don't have the resources to help them.
Thousands of Haitians have crossed the border from Mexico to the United States, ending up in makeshift camps in Texas. Living under this bridge, they lack the basic necessities: no shelter, food, water, or sanitation. More than 12,000 people are waiting to be processed by immigration authorities. Many made the desperate journey through Central and South America, fleeing poverty, violence, and natural disasters, looking for a better life. For the past week, migrants have been crossing the Rio Grande from Mexico into the town of Del Rio in the U.S., trying to bring food and other supplies for their families.
There's not enough food for everyone in the camp. It's very bad. We have to leave to look for food.
Overwhelmed by the influx of migrants, the U.S. government is trying to stem the flow. Border agents have stepped up security, preventing people from entering and leaving many in limbo.
With the Mexican guards here, I can't cross here, and I also can't cross there. There are no options because I could keep going to the U.S., but if I go back to Mexico, they'll send me back, and I'll lose the money I have.
Some are being moved to shelters and immigration processing centers, but they've been scarred by the harrowing journeys that brought them here.
I walked and ran, with migration officials chasing us. Not all people are good. There are bad ones too, and they scammed us in other countries too. They took our money. We survived a lot of calamities.
While a humanitarian crisis unfolds, the U.S. and Mexican authorities have ordered the deportation of hundreds of Haitians. Thousands more could follow. It could become one of America's biggest expulsions of migrants or refugees in decades.
And for more now, we want to go to our Washington Bureau Chief, Ines Pohl. She is at the border crossing in Del Rio right now. Ines, it's good to have you with us. You've been talking to people there. What have they been telling you? What's happening at the border right now?
Well, Brent, behind me, behind this fence, people are being put in buses at this very moment, and some of them will be brought to airports and be flown out to Haiti as soon as possible. We talked to the border control and asked them if we could enter and do our jobs as journalists and report on what exactly is happening here behind this fence, but they didn't allow us in.
And so can we describe what the conditions are like underneath this bridge where all of these would-be asylum seekers are living?
It's extremely hot here. It's more than 40 degrees Celsius in the shade. That means over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And again, this is in the shade. Therefore, all these refugees kind of hide, search for some shelter under this bridge. The circumstances are devastating. We could talk to some people who have been there last night. They don't have any food. We heard that in your report. There are hardly any toilets, there's hardly any water. One woman went into labor, so the situation is just devastating.
And the U.S. has launched this mass expulsion of Haitian migrants from Texas. And what message is the U.S. trying to send to people who are trying to reach the U.S.?
Well, Brent, there is one picture out on Twitter from a colleague. I think this will be the iconic picture of this event, if one can say so, of that. What is happening here right now is a picture of border control on horses. They are cracking their whips on Haitian refugees, trying to prevent them from coming here to the United States, seeking asylum, seeking some... prevent them from coming here to the United States, seeking asylum, seeking some human treatment. And this is the exact kind of message the administration, the Biden administration, wants to send. If you come here, we will send you back, even if that means we send you back to a place like Haiti.
And Edith, you are describing what is obviously a crisis at the border, and yet the Biden administration still refuses to call it a crisis.
Well, Brent, these are the worst images for Joe Biden at this moment. He's facing harsh critiques anyhow because of his withdrawal from Afghanistan, which leads to tens of thousands of Afghan refugees already seeking asylum here in the United States. He gets harshly criticized by his opponents of his refugee policy anyhow. So I'm sure that he also doesn't want to come here because he doesn't want to be associated with these pictures. So he just tries to kind of resolve this crisis as soon as possible by sending these people back.
All right, our very own Ines Pohl in Del Rio in Texas tonight. Ines, thank you.
Do you want to make $1,000 today and then $1,000 a day?
Wow. So the next video,
Italy is about to become the first.
Is Italy makes the covert, covert pass mandatory for all workers, and that's in Italy, in the Vatican,
European country to mandate COVID-19 health passes for all workers. In future, employees will need to have a so-called green pass or be suspended from their jobs without pay. They also have the option to show a negative test, but they will have to pay for this. The government says it hopes the measure will help to increase the take-up of vaccinations.
Italy's government taking tough measures to combat COVID-19. From next month, it will be mandatory for all workers in public and private sectors to get a health pass. Users will have to show proof of vaccination, a negative test, or recovery from infection. The Green Pass is an instrument of freedom that makes places safer. Secondly, the Green Pass makes our vaccination campaign more effective. On the streets of Rome, there's a mixed reaction to the announcement. The Green Pass is an important tool to deal with this serious situation. In such a serious situation, we need effective solutions. In my opinion, it's not fair, because I am a free citizen. I can decide whether or not to get a Green Pass. When there's an obligation, we no longer live in a democracy, but a dictatorship. So, I don't agree. Italy is the first country in Europe to implement the COVID-19 Green Pass for all workers. Originally, it was set up to ease travel restrictions and give access to indoor venues. Authorities now say expanding the measures will help the vaccination uptake, stop infections, and prevent further lockdowns. Those who ignore the decree could face fines up to 1,000 euros. But persuading everyone to get inoculated may be challenging. The country has seen protests in recent weeks, including at various railway stations. Italy was one of the worst hit by the coronavirus pandemic last year. More than 130,000 people died, while around 74% of the population have received at least.
I believe here in Ottawa, I believe it's gonna happen in the next 2 days, tomorrow actually, because tonight we're the 21st. Tonight is gonna be the 21st, so in 2 days, yeah, the 22nd. Okay. Yeah, let's get started.
COVID-19 shot.
And that's just to tell you, man. You know, keep the faith even until the end, man. The tribulation is just getting a little harder. You know, the fire is getting harder, but just know that there is an end to it, man. There is gonna be an end to all the tribulation and the hardship and the affliction is coming to an end, Israel. Okay, so if you're the elect, pray that the Lord puts that spirit in you to endure, man. Okay, because we're almost out of here.
It's a delicate balancing act for authorities now to prevent a repeat of the past as winter approaches.
Journalist Seema Gupta spoke to us earlier from Rome about what the Italian government is hoping to achieve.
Let's not forget, Italy has lost more than 130,000 lives due to COVID-19. Now, that's the highest figure.
Yeah, don't forget that it's judgment. They're trying to pull up with the fear-mongering, but us, we know through the Spirit, we know that that is judgment. There is no way that all these people that died could have escaped it. It was their time, okay?
In the European Union. That's it, though. Those people that are against this, you have a group that are the anti-vaxxers, and we've seen them become more and more vocal in recent weeks. They've been participating in protests. Many have been accused of carrying out death threats onto politicians or being even violent towards journalists. They feel simply strongly against the idea of vaccines. On the other side of the coin, though, you have those that are simply afraid to take the vaccine. They don't want to do it. They don't trust it. They're concerned about their safety. And so really that's the government's task right now. You've got a month before this kicks in, a month for companies to get their procedures together in order to check these
to get down with
green
the system.
passes, and also a month they're hoping to convince those who have still not been vaccinated to go ahead and get that vaccine done, or otherwise be sure to be tested regularly and to produce that negative test before you can come into work.
You see, you need to get tested, man. Okay. In the last video, this is the Palma volcano. There was I believe in the Canary Island, there was a volcano that erupted.
Mira, mira, mira cómo cae.
Structure, the power of Yahawah. You see? This is why we fear Yahawah B'Hashem Yahawashi before it's too late, man. It's by the terror of the Lord that we persuade man. Okay? These people, they were not expecting the Lord, man. They were not expecting volcano to erupt. It says it's been 50 years, man, since something like that happened. See that fire, man. Yo, look at that house burning away, man. Remember, Babylon's gonna be destroyed in an hour, man. Okay?
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe.
That is not freedom. Okay? Yahawashi, the truth will set you free. The freedom is peace. Okay? And only Yahawah B'Hashem Yahawashi can give you that freedom. Esau is always selling you bullshit, man. Okay? Well, that being said, you know, from university being shot up, from volcanoes erupting, from the economy crashing, okay, from mandates, wicked decrees being passed on, okay, hard times. It's only gonna. The Lord tells us, man, in Matthew's 24 and 13. Those are the beginning of evils. All those are the beginning of evils. Okay. So that being said, we need to prepare ourselves, man. Okay. It tells us in Sirach 2 and 4. Whatever is brought unto thee, take cheerfully, man, because we know that the chastening is work. The work of our chastening worketh patience. It worketh the works of our faith. Okay. So it's for a benefit that we're going through that hardship, because that for acceptable men are found in the furnace of adversity, man. Gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable man in the furnace of adversity. Okay, so we have to go through it, man, because the servant is not greater than the master. Yahawashi went through it, and we're his servants. Okay, they killed him, they mocked him, they spat on him, and they you know, and this man and Yahawashi was healing people, man. He was doing miracles, man, such as no man has ever done, man. You know what? They turned around and killed him. So how much more us, man, that serve him, that fear him, that seek to do the will of the Father. Okay? So that being said, I'd like to give all honor and praises unto Yahawah B'Hashem Yahawashi B'Hashem QADASH. Double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS, teaching and ruling well. Salutation to the faithful believers. We're almost at it there, man. I'm hoping I can be one of those, one of the brothers that's a part of the kingdom, man. I hope that my name is sealed in the book of life, man, and I pray for the body, man. Don't forget to pray, man. It's important, man. In these times, man, you're going through it, man. Everyone's going through it right now, man. We're all going through it, man. And the body, we're a system. We're all linked together, man. We're a system meant to support each other, man. In these times of hardship. Okay, so keep that in mind. Shalom, shalom. DTA, Abba Babal, Kwam Yasha'Allah. Shalom.